Kunjabihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari. Jaya Om Vishwapada Paramahamsa Parivartikacharya Ashtotar Shri Srimad Divine Grace Aise Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jaya Om Vishwapada Paramahamsa Parivartikacharya Ashtotar Shri Srimad Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All Gurus assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All Gurus assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All Gurus assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, entitled Prahlad, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu. Daiteya Chandanavane, Daiteya Chandanavane, Jato Yam Kantaka Druma, Yanmulonmula Parashor, Vishnur Nalayitor Bhaka, Daiteya Chandanavane, Jato Yam Kantaka Druma, Yanmulonmula Parashor, Vishnur Nalayitor Bhaka, Daiteya Chandanavane, Jatoyam Kantaka Druma, Yanmulonmula Parashor, Vishnur Nalayitor Bhaka. Daiteya Chandanavane, Daiteya Chandanavane, Jatoyam Kantaka Druma, Yanmulonmula Parashor, Vishnur Nalayitor Bhaka. Matajis. Daiteya Chandanavane, Jatoyam Kantakatruma, Yanmulonmula Parashor, Vishnur Nalayitor Bhaka. Daiteya Chandanavane, Jatoyam Kantakatruma, Yanmulonmula Parashor, Vishnur Nalayitor Bhaka. Daiteya of the demoniac family, Chandanavane in the sandalwood forest, Jataha born, Ayam this, Kantakadruma thorn tree, Yat of which, Moola of the roots, Unmoola in the cutting, Parasho who is like an axe, Vishnu of Lord Vishnu, Nalayita the handle, Arbaka boy. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: This rascal Prahlad has appeared like a thorn tree in a forest of sandalwood. To cut down sandalwood trees, an axe is needed, and the wood of the thorn tree is very suitable for the handle of such an axe. Lord Vishnu is the axe for cutting down the sandalwood forest of the family of the demons, and this Prahlad is the handle for that axe. Purport: Thorn trees generally grow in deserted places, not in sandalwood forests. But the seminal Brahmanas Shanda and Amarka compared the dynasty of the Daitya Hiranyakashipu to a sandalwood forest and compared Prahlad Maharaj to a hard, strong thorn tree that could provide the handle of an axe. They compared Lord Vishnu to the axe itself. An axe alone cannot cut a thorn tree. It needs a handle, which may be made of the wood of a thorn tree. Thus, the thorn tree of demoniac civilization can be cut to pieces by the axe of Vishnu Bhakti, devotional service to Lord Krishna. Some of the members of the demoniac civilization, like Prahlad Maharaj, may become the handle for the axe to assist Lord Vishnu, and thus the entire forest of demoniac civilization can be cut to pieces. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Padantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Hita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishwapadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishwapadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Nitinamine Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvushe Namaha Panchatattva-atmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 7 entitled, Chapter 5 entitled Prahlad, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu, text number 17. I read the translation again. This rascal Prahlad has appeared like a thorn tree in a forest of sandalwood. To cut down sandalwood trees, an axe is needed, and the wood of the thorn tree is very suitable for the handle of such an axe. Lord Vishnu is the axe for cutting down the sandalwood forest of the family of demons. And this Prahlad is the handle for that axe. Hare Krishna. So we'll just discuss a brief review of what is the context of this particular episode here. Very beautiful chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then we'll discuss primarily three subject matters here. We'll discuss about the narration building by the influencers, how the narratives are built by the influencers. We'll discuss about how the parents or teachers, how they respond to children's answers, actions, and achievements, how it impacts the children. And towards the end, we'll discuss about how to become a favorable, humble instrument. That is the proper mood versus the doership mentality. We can discuss something on that. Seeking the blessings of all Vaishnavas to be able to speak on this glorious subject of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is of course a well-known pastime. Right from childhood, many people hear about the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj. So Prahlad Maharaj, in this case, we find that Hiranyakashipu has entrusted the education for Prahlad to Shanda and Amarka. So Hiranyakashipu is ensuring that his child is educated properly, and these are the seminal sons of Shukracharya. They are meant to be purohits, well-wishers. Prabhupada in one of the purports says he should not have taken up that service because Hiranyakashipu is an atheist. In fact, Hiranyakashipu wants to kill even Lord Vishnu. But nonetheless, they have this service, and the sons, Shanda and Amarka, are taking care of the education for Prahlad. And they are teaching the political philosophy naturally there is the topics of my friend, my enemy, all these things are being taught by Shanda and Amarka. And Prahlad does not like that. Right from his, it's a natural disposition for Prahlad. He does not like that particular subject matter like this, taught like this. And Hiranyakashipu, one particular time, very affectionately takes Prahlad on his lap, and like sometimes it is said, a father even smells the hair of the child. They feel very affectionate, and it's interesting to note, even a cruel person like Hiranyakashipu has affection, which basically shows that any person who has the feelings, naturally there is positive feelings as well as negative. It depends on what we are able to draw out from the others. So Hiranyakashipu had this affection for Prahlad, having him on his lap and asking him, what is the best of all the subjects that you have learnt? What has been taught by your teachers? And Prahlad Maharaj, a 5-year-old boy, makes a very bold statement. Tat sadhu manye suravarya dehinam sada samudvigna dhyam asatgrahad hitvatmapatam grahamandakupam vanam gatoyam harimashrayeta. A 5-year-old boy giving such a bold answer reply to his own father. And the father is such, Hiranyakashipu is such, that even the demigods are fearful of him. And that is even more disturbing and frustrating for Hiranyakashipu. To see that the entire world is bowing down to me, but my own son, who is hardly 5 years old, is rebelling against me. And what to speak of rebel, he is giving me the advice to go to the forest. I should give up all my nonsensical activities, being attached to Sada Samudvigna Dhyam Asatgrahat. My intelligence is, he's saying that my intelligence is invested in the temporary subject matters. And Sada Samudvigna, these materialistic people are always anxious. There's a lot of anxiety. Sada Samudvigna Dhyam Asatgrahat Hitvatmapatam Grahamandakupam. He's saying that they are fallen in the deep dark well, and he's giving the advice, Vanam Gatoyad Harimashrayata. Better go to the forest, and Prabhupada says particularly forest like Vrindavan, where you can actually take shelter of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Hiranyakashipu, as soon as he hears this, he feels the intelligence of my child is polluted. This is being polluted by the words of the enemy. And he feels, looks like there is some Vaishnava who is coming in disguise and influencing my son. So he again calls Shanda and Amarka and says, please ensure that you teach him properly, and after some time I'll again have a test of what he has been learning in the schools. So the second time when he is going to ask, which is later after the few further verses will come up, that is the time when Prahlad Maharaj will say, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. What is the best thing that you have learnt? So we are right now in between that. The first answer the Prahlad Maharaj has already given. The second one is yet to come. So this is in between. So when Hiranyakashipu is asking, is requesting Shanda and Amarka, please ensure that Prahlad Maharaj, my son, is educated properly, and no enemy comes as a disguise and influences my son. So for Shanda and Amarka, it was a matter of life and death. Because Hiranyakashipu is cruel. If he gets disturbed, for him, he can simply order, just cut off their heads. So Shanda and Amarka are very, very careful and conscious. For now, they are very much disturbed. Because from their perspective, they are doing their duty, what they were supposed to do. Jai Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra Bhagwan ki Jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maiya ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nithai ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. So from their perspective, they are performing their duty of teaching Prahlad Maharaj. But Prahlad Maharaj, even for them, it's a mystery. Where is Prahlad learning it from? We are not teaching. There is no question of his father teaching such a subject matter, devotional service. Then where is Prahlad learning all this devotional science from? So they directly ask Prahlad Maharaj, can you please tell the truth? Children are generally quite innocent. They don't have any hiding mentality or manipulative tendencies. So just ask, please tell me the truth. Where have you learnt this devotional science. And Prahlad Maharaj, he offers prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, particularly to the external energy created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, due to which there is distinctions created like my friend and my enemy. How well Prahlad Maharaj is aware of the deep subject matters of hardcore philosophical truths at an age of hardly 5 years of age. He's aware of all these deep subject matters, very realized knowledge that he's speaking about. So he's offering obeisances to the external energy, Vishnu or Maya, which is Vimohati, which is basically has a potency to put people in illusion and make them feel this person is my friend, this person is my enemy. It makes them feel like this. So Prahlad Maharaj says it's only by this external energy that one is able to feel like this. However, my condition is like an iron filings. An iron gets naturally attracted by a magnet. In a similar way, my consciousness is drawn towards Lord Vishnu. There is no effort that I have to put, but my consciousness is drawn towards Lord Vishnu. This is something we can aspire for. It's a lifetime of practice and a lifetime of prayers and efforts that we may have to put in order to come to this stage. But Prahlad Maharaj is saying this is something very naturally, it's very natural disposition. It's like how Kunti Maharani also prays, Pratim Udbhato Gata. Just like how the Ganges flows without any hindrance. If there is a huge tree, then it may go flow underneath or sideways. If there is a huge boulder, it can even go above it. But there is no hindrance to the flow of the Ganges. Similarly, she says that let my consciousness flow towards the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prahlad Maharaj is saying that like an iron naturally getting attracted to the magnet. So just 2-3 verses before, this was a prayer made by Prahlad Maharaj. And if you practically see Prahlad's beautiful demeanor, the behavior that he has, he's actually in one sense, we can say in a positive term, haunted by Krishna. Yes, practically, that's why the terms used are Krishna, Griha, Grihitatma. Like many times people generally talk about they have their Sadesati and Shani and they are caught by the Grihas. but Prahlad Maharaj is caught by Krishna Griha. Krishna Griha Grihitatma. So this comes in the previous chapter where Nyasta Kridanako Balo Jadavat tan Manastaya Krishna Griha Grihitatma Na Veda Jagat Idrisham. It's very beautiful that even in a age when he was when normal children had simply play, spend their time just playing around, but Prahlad Maharaj, Jadavat, he acted as if Jada, like we talk about Jada Bharat. He acted as if Jada for all this materialistic subject matters. He did not respond to them. Jadavat, tan manastaya. He was absorbed in spiritual consciousness. Krishna Griha Grihitatma. Just like he was, as if he was possessed. He was, and that's why Prahlad Maharaj used the word, I have no independence. My consciousness is simply drawn towards the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. And then the last line says that Prahlad Maharaj is wondering how the people are able to think like this. This is my enemy and this is my friend. For Prahlad Maharaj, it is so natural and it's a natural disposition to be able to be in the consciousness of Pandita Samadarshinaha, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmane Gavi Hastini. He is able to see everyone as equal. And Prahlad, as a 5-year-old child, is wondering how people are thinking in this consciousness. This is my friend, this is my enemy. That means they are surely caught up by the external energy. They are possessed by the external energy. So we'll discuss these subject matters here. We find here Shanda and Amarka. So the context here is Shanda and Amarka are now chastising. When Prahlad says that my consciousness is just drawn naturally towards Lord Vishnu, so they are chastising and they are comparing now, saying that the demoniac civilization is compared to sandalwood trees. This is the narrative being built here. Narrative building or narrative shaping. That demoniac civilization they are comparing to sandalwood trees, and they are comparing Prahlad Maharaj to a thorny tree. And the sandalwood trees is being cut by the axe named as Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. But the axe cannot cut independently. The axe needs a handle, and that handle is prepared by the thorny tree. So Prahlad Maharaj is becoming an instrument in the hands of Lord Vishnu to cut the demoniac civilization. So this is the narration of Shandainamarka. And interesting, in the translation there is no word of rascal, but translation Prabhupada adds this rascal Prahlad. But we can understand this is what they intend. This is what Shandainamarka are intending, because the moment you say, I am like a sandalwood tree and you are like a thorn tree, what does that naturally indicate? So Srila Prabhupada takes that liberty to talk about this rascal Prahlad, because that's what they are actually chastising Prahlad. Why they are chastising? Because they are afraid of their own lives. Next time when Hiranyakashipu asks Prahlad, what is the best of the subject matters that you have learnt? And if he says the same one, Tat Sadhu Manye, we are gone, or next he is going to say Shravanam Kirtanam, still we are going to be chastised for no reason. We have not taught you all these things, but for no reason we are going to be chastised. So they are angry on Prahlad Maharaj. So this is the narrative that they are actually building. Like we talk about Mahabharat war. How many of us feel Mahabharat war is between Kauravas versus Pandavas? It's a war between Kauravas and Pandavas. But this is the narrative which has been built. Actually, the war is between, if you see the first verse of Bhagavad Gita, Dhritarashtra says, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Mamaka Pandava. My sons and the sons of Pandu. That is, it is between Dhartarashtras and Pandavas. Because Pandavas also happen to be Kauravas. Because their lineage is Kuru dynasty. But the narration which gets built up is Pandavas are separate, as if they are out of the Kuru dynasty. Pandavas versus Kauravas. But Pandavas are themselves part of the Kuru dynasty. But it was Duryodhan who felt, it was his thinking and stemming from his consciousness, that he felt that I have been bereft of the kingdom. And he felt, I am the rightful heir for the throne. And he felt that there is injustice which has happened to me. Always playing a victim card. Always playing a victim card, as if injustice has happened to me. And whatever I do in order to retrieve the kingdom back, that is justified. Because it's my rightful claim. So just like Shandainamarka are saying, they are comparing the demoniac civilization to sandalwood trees. So the conditioned thinking is like this. The conditioned thinking is, I am right, I am good. The conditioned thinking is, I am right and I am good. Which may mean others may be bad, or they may be in shades of grey, whatever the thinking is. And I am right, whether others are not, again, shades of grey may be there. But the more aggressive one is, one feels I am right and others are wrong. The more gross one is, then one feels I am good and others are bad. That's the conditioned thinking. So, like here we see the Shandainamarka are pointing out this. During Srila Prabhupada's initial preaching of Krishna consciousness in the West, there was a counterculture being developed. There were hippies. There were civilized people living in a society, and there were hippies being formed who felt that the people in the society are simply like a run of the mill. It's like, you just go for studies, you get a job, you get a family, and it's just a routine that you are going through. And nobody had the courage to stand against the teachers or the government or any injustice that is happening. So the hippies felt they are the ones who are creating a pathway for the younger generation. If they want to break free, they are creating a pathway. Whereas the civilized people would feel hippies are good for nothing. Whereas the hippies would feel these civilized people don't even have the courage to raise their voice against injustice. So that's the conditioned thinking. Just like we say, take an example, if we are walking on the street, then we feel those who are coming in vehicles are quite insensitive. Just see how they are driving. When we are walking on the street, those who are driving vehicles seems to be insensitive. How rashly they are driving. If we happen to be driving, then we feel, look at these pedestrians, they think as if they own the roads, as if they are the king of the roads. After the government, it is their name only. When we are driving, we feel how, and especially in India, it happens also, how the people do not bother if the vehicles are going speedily. And then the person who is driving feels, the laws are generally more favorable towards the pedestrians or towards the weaker section. A four-wheeler may be afraid of the two-wheeler, depending on the driving capacities and all that. So if we are walking, we feel those who are in vehicle may be rash or aggressive. And if we happen to be driving and we are thinking, just see how the people don't even care or bother about giving way to the vehicles. They don't even stop at the signals, things like this. So this is typically the conditioned mentality that I am right, I am good. And when we change roles, but the mentality still remains the same. I am still right and I am still good, irrespective of the roles that we keep changing. And just as Shanda and Amarka are calling Prahlad as a thorny tree, similarly we find Ravana chastising his own brother Vibhishan. In a very similar way. Just as Shanda and Amarka are thinking they are sandalwood trees, and only Prahlad is the thorny tree. In the entire forest of sandalwood trees, here is only one thorny tree. Similarly, Ravan is feeling, Ravan, of course, they are coming from a Brahmana family. So he's proud of his Brahmana lineage and the tapasya that he has performed and the achievements that he has received, the benedictions that he has received from the various demigods, he is naturally proud of. But he felt, except for this one Vibhishan, he is like a black spot in our family. Ravana is thinking, he is like a black spot in our family. Whereas those who are devotees will understand that Vibhishan was the only hope for Ravana. Vibhishan was the only true well-wisher of Ravana. Not a single minister, including his own brothers, including other brothers, and including his own sons, were actually well-wishers of Ravana. They would fuel his pride and ego, but they were not really true well-wishers. It was only Vibhishan who had the power to speak the truth, and he could respond, and he could actually play the role of that real well-wisher. But unfortunately, from Ravana's perspective, he is a black spot. Like they are calling a thorny tree. Sometimes they call as a diseased hand. If in a body, if a finger gets diseased, sometimes it may be required to cut the finger. Sometimes if the hand is diseased, it may be required to cut the hand, lest the disease gets spread in the entire body. So these demons, like we hear about the Daityakulas or Ravana, or even Duryodhan for that matter, how Duryodhan treated Vidura. Because Duryodhan is thinking that Vidura is being maintained by our family, by the royal lineage. And unfortunately, Duryodhan goes on to used the words against Vidura as saying, you are like an ungrateful dog. You are maintained by our money, and on top of that, you are ungrateful. But again, the reality from the devotee's perspective, and the reality as well, is Vidura was a true well-wisher of the Kuru dynasty. Otherwise, why would he even come back after the entire war of Kurukshetra also? Vidura was still concerned about his brother Dhritarashtra, and he still wanted to preach to him. Such a hard nut to crack, but still he was affectionate towards his brother and wanted to transform him. So, depending on what mode one is, depending on one's thinking that I am right and I am good, it's very unfortunate that people can have any narrative building. And the more one is an influencer, that narration becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. So how to break free from this? Very important is, first and foremost, one should have a good association. We see Duryodhan, we see Ravana, none of them had this. First and foremost, what we need to do is, first is have to have a good association. Second is to discuss openly. All these characters that we are talking about, Duryodhan and Ravan, and here the Shanda and Amarka, all this which they are, the accusations that they are having towards Prahlad or towards Vidura or towards Vibhishan, is basically cooked in their minds, in their fertile minds. They are not discussing it. It's just what they think. And unfortunately, they think whatever they think is right. So whatever they think as per them is right. But if they discuss it openly, then others will be able to give their inputs. Others will be able to correct if required. So discuss openly. And in case sometimes like Duryodhan, Duryodhan discusses also, but his association is Karna, Dushasan and Shakuni. So he doesn't get the proper consultation. He's discussing also openly, but the third important step is one should consult superiors in order to check whether the narrative we have is proper or not. So first and foremost is to have a good association. Second, to discuss openly, not simply cook things in our own mind. Sometimes in our mind, so many things are cooked, like a chess players. They are thinking, this is my first move, this would be his first move. In case if his first move is like this, my second move will be like this. And in case his second move is like this, my third move will be like this. But in reality, he does not even move first. The other person sometimes. But we are cooking so many things. He's thinking like this about me, what, and so on and so forth, things like that. So discuss openly. And if that still does not help, because if the association is still all are birds of the same feather, in that case, best is to consult superiors and cross-check. Guru Sadhu Shastra, there is a check and balance system. Even for Duryodhan, there was good counsel available in the form of Bhishma Pitama, in the form of Vidura. But unfortunately, he did not take the proper advantage of that. The other subject matter I wanted to highlight was about how parents and teachers respond to children's answers, actions, and their achievements. Like how Hiranyakashipu, when he takes Prahlad on his lap and affectionately inquires from him what is the best of the subject matters that you have learnt in school, and when he hears Tatsadu Manye, of course he was glorified, O best of the Asuras, but he felt insulted in terms of getting an instruction from his own son, 5-year-old son, as go to the forest. So, how parents respond to children's answers, actions, and their achievements has a very deep impact on children. Sometimes the parents feel the children's education, the responsibility of the children's education is on teachers. And sometimes teachers feel the actual education of the children is, the onus is on parents, vice versa. The parents feel it is teachers' responsibility, the teachers feel it is parents' responsibility. The reality, it is partial. Parents also have some responsibility and teachers also have some responsibility. From the parent side, their responsibility is character formation and providing culture at home. When the traditions are provided at home, how to behave, and when based on how the parents behave, children catch. They catch easily what they observe, than actions speak louder than words, rather than big sermons and instructions. So for children, they easily catch that. So they can learn culture and character formation at home itself, that can be taught by the parents. Whereas in the school, there can be a proper formal education as well as competence, the skill developments, or knowing of the languages and the skills and all that, competence part of it. So both is required. Rather than pushing the onus on one, both have their partial responsibilities. Unfortunately, sometimes parents neglect their children, their answers or their actions or their achievements, or even sometimes the teachers may not encourage what the children may go through. Especially in the modern times, we see, based on the financial stress that the society sometimes goes through, parents feel that my child should be in this particular field, and then he or she will be able to flourish in terms of career, in terms of finance and things like that. Whereas the child may have different inclinations, and there is always a tug of war between the parents, teachers, and probably the children. So in this particular case, so generally the child is either influenced by parents or by teachers, and typically it's both. And of course, he has his own individual free will as well, and what to speak of the other friends and other circle that he has. But in this case, Prahlad Maharaj was neither influenced by his father, Hiranyakashipu, nor influenced by the teachers, Shanda and Amarka. He was oblivious to both of them, neither the parent nor the teacher. Rather, he was influenced by his spiritual master, Narad Muni, and Guru and Krishna. He was influenced by Lord Vishnu. He was natural disposition of being, his consciousness being drawn towards Lord Vishnu. So there are sometimes the parent may be demoniac and the son is a devotee. The case that we are seeing here, as Hiranyakashipu is demoniac and the son is a saintly son. This chapter is entitled as Prahlad, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu. It adds to the saintly, the adjective adds very beautiful, because Hiranyakashipu happens to be a demon. And how is it that his son becomes saintly? The saintly son of Hiranyakashipu. So, of course, what we are discussing it's a very gross, and naturally there are shades of gray. When you say devotee and demon, these are like extremes. Generally, people fall much in between, as different grades or range. So the gross thing that we are discussing, which is for Hiranyakashipu, the father is demoniac, whereas the son is saintly, as Prahlad Maharaj. And sometimes we see the father is also demoniac, son is also demoniac. Good compatibility. His father and son both are, if they are of the same mentality. Like we hear about Ravana and Indrajit. Both very wonderfully compatible. Indrajit, whenever Ravana would, dinge mar rahe, he's just proud of his achievements, and Indrajit would add fuel to the fire of pride. And Indrajit would himself say that, I have myself conquered over Indra. So father, do not worry about anything. These Vanavasis, referring to Ram and Lakshman, I'll just handle them, very nonchalantly. So like this is a combination of demoniac father and demoniac son. In the case of Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan, is not a very gross demon, but somehow Dhritarashtra was, we can say, weak-hearted. weak-hearted. He would at times want to stop Duryodhan, but because of his over-affection towards Duryodhan, he was not able to say no to him. That was his weakness. He was weak-hearted. Then we find sometimes the father may be devotee, and unfortunately sometimes the son may be demoniac, or not a non-devotee, very demoniac nature. We have the classic example of Anga. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have the reference of Anga, who happens to be a devotee, and his son is Vena. And Vena has some connection with his mother's lineage connected to the Yama, the Lord of Death. So Vena's behavior was naturally demoniac. So that happens to be a combination of when the father is devotee, but unfortunately sometimes the children may not be so saintly or unfortunately demoniac. And we have beautiful combinations where the parent is also a devotee and the son is also a devotee. We have the beautiful episode of Advaita Acharya having a conversation with Achyutananda. Again, this is like we are talking about Prahlad Maharaj, 5-year-old son, similarly 5-year-old Achyutananda. This happens in Shantipur when one of the sannyasis, he comes to the house of Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya invites him and wants to offer good hospitality, and he requests him to accept the warm welcome. Whereas the sannyasi is more interested in asking some doubts. He wanted to know something. And Advaita Acharya said, please, first honor prasadam, and I'll clarify all your doubts later on, but at least accept the hospitality. But the sannyasi was more keen on getting some answers. So finally Advaita Acharya says, okay, please ask. And the sannyasi asks a beautiful question of what is the relationship between Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Keshav Bharati. What is the relationship between Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Keshav Bharati? So Advaita Acharya feels, which answer should I give? There is an external reason, an internal reason. External answer and internal answer. Externally, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepts sannyas from Keshav Bharati. But the fact is that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So was thinking, which one should I answer first? I thought, let me answer the external one. That Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the disciple. He took sannyas from Keshav Bharati. As soon as he spelled out these words, Achyutananda leapt up, 5-year-old boy, and he was so angry on his father. He said, Kali Yuga has descended. And in fact, Advaita Acharya is none other than Mahavishnu also. So he says, Kali Yuga has descended. Just see, my own father is having the mentality to think that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Chaitanya, is a disciple of Keshav Bharati. How can he even dare to say this? He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he started glorifying Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Looking at this, Advaita Acharya was in ecstasy. Not that, how dare you say like this? How can you say like this to me? He was in ecstasy, understanding that his son is more advanced than him. And he's saying to his son, you are my father, I am your son. You are my father, I am your son. Advaita Acharya was in great ecstasy, understanding how his son's devotional service has fructified. The development of his devotional, looking at his devotional service, he was so happy about it. So that's actually what training is. If you find something good, fan that. If there is good speech, good action, good behavior, fan that. That is training. Encourage and appreciate when we find good speech, good actions, good behavior. And simultaneously, if we find bad actions, bad speech, bad action, bad behavior, one should correct or do the needful. That's what training is. Otherwise, in the name of being overly affectionate to our dependents, to our own children, one may end up pampering them, which basically means spoiling them. They get spoiled. So this is the beautiful parent-child combination that we could see. Towards the last, we'll just discuss the last point. is about becoming a favorable instrument. As here, Prahlad Maharaj is described as becoming the handle. Axe is compared to Lord Vishnu, handle is compared to Prahlad Maharaj. And what is the handle and the axe used for? Cutting the demoniac civilization of what Srandai Namarka is calling as sandalwood trees, unfortunately. But anyways, Prabhupada says killing the, finishing off the demoniac civilization. So what we can learn from this is how we can become an handle, how we can become a humble, favorable instrument in the hands of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His representatives. Gopi Paratur Padakamalayur, Das, 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 Anudas. We are not the doers. Lord Vishnu is the axe. We do not have any potency to kill. We do not have any potency to make that change or the transformation. But we can become handle. We can become an instrument. And of course, if we are able to become a humble and favorable, that's even more adds to the beauty. But at least if we can become an instrument in the hands of the Lord, we assist the Lord in His mission. The Lord, when He descends, He comes for a mission. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkratam. Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So He comes for a mission. If we assist the Lord, we also get our credit. We also get our share. Dasturi loi purna have kam. We get our share of mercy of the Supreme Personality of God and His representatives. And this is the beauty, because Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. This is destined to win. It's like Lord Ram's army. All those Vanaras who took part in it, all of them are getting their credit. All of them are coming in ecstasy, because at the end, Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. If we do our part, we will actually benefit. So we have to understand that we are instruments, not the actual doer. Not the actual doer. Just like this particular month's marathon book distribution, in case anybody feels we are in a doer mentality, we just have to go out and distribute books, and we will understand how much of a doer we are. The doership mentality. Because in the doership mentality, the ego gets inflated. In the doership mentality, ego gets inflated, whereas in the mood of humble servant of servant, in the mood of humble, favorable instrument, the mood is that one is empowered. One does not have the power, but one actually borrows power from the parampara and acts beyond one's own capacity. That is what empowerment is. And simultaneously, one also needs to understand that just like one can be empowered, one can also be deflated, disempowered. Or in Prabhupada's beautiful story, Punar Mushika Bhava. Become a mouse again, become a rat again. So in a doership mentality, the ego gets inflated, whereas in the mood of humble, favorable instrument, one understands that one can be empowered, but simultaneously one should not feel proud about that. Simultaneously, in the mood of doership mentality, the focus is on results. In a doership mentality, you can see those who are in sales, those who are having some target, the focus is on results. Whereas in the mood of humble, favorable instrument, the focus is on responsibility. The focus is on responsibility, not the results. What is that? 2.47. Karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Karmanyevadikaras. We have a right to perform one's duty, but we are not entitled to the fruits. Why we are not entitled to the fruits? Because we are not the doer. At least we are not the full doer. Technically speaking, five doers that we talk, that's explained in the Bhagavad Gita. At least we are not the full doer. But simultaneously, do not be attached to not performing one's duty. So the focus for a doership mentality is on results, whereas in the mode of humble, favorable instrument, the focus is on responsibility. In a doership mentality, When the results are good, one is elated. One feels joyful. And when the results are discouraging, one feels very frustrated. Whereas in a humble, favorable instrument, in this mode, when the results are good, scores are good, one feels grateful. One feels grateful to be a part of this mission. One feels grateful to be able to accomplish this on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if the scores or the results are discouraging, then one becomes introspective. One can contemplate and finds scope for improvement, room for improvement, rather than feeling dejected as if the whole world has become a dreary void. No? Rather than feeling like that, one can introspect. What can I do better? How can I do better next time? Or what did I do wrong this time that I can correct myself? And very essential is in the doership mentality, the anxiety that one takes leads to stress in a doership mentality. The anxiety that one has in that mood, it leads towards stress. Whereas in a humble, favorable instrument, when one has this mood, the anxiety that one takes is actually very purifying and leads towards ecstasy. That's what we'll feel towards the end. When we are going for a distribution of books, we may feel so much anxiety, but when we are returning, there is so much joy in sharing, how this person took book and how this person was so adamant, but somehow we preached what we heard from our superiors, and so much sharing and so much of joy is there. So that anxiety leads towards ecstasy, and it is very purifying, because these responsibilities which we take is actually very purifying. So if we pray to become a humble and favorable instrument, and that's what we see from scriptures, whether it's Arjuna, whether it is Hanuman, whether it is the Goswamis, even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told the Goswamis, I have to be in Jagannath Puri because my mother has instructed me here, but otherwise all that I have to accomplish in Vrindavan is through your family. So Sanatana Goswami would say that your body is my property. I have to accomplish so many things through you. How can you think of, at another time when he was thinking of committing suicide. So we'd say, your body is my property. So similarly, we all can actually assist the Lord and His representatives by becoming favorable, humble instruments. We can offer our own parts, however minuscule we are, just like Vanar Sena in Lord Ram's army. Whatever is our own capacities, we can offer that in the service of the Lord. And of course, our classic example is Srila Prabhupada himself, who went to the West, preached boldly in the headquarters of the illusory energy, Maya. And at that time, particularly when he gets down at Boston, he writes that Markine Bhagavat, where he prays, I do not know why I have come here. And he prays to Krishna, saying that I do not know why you have brought me here. But if I have come here, that means you must have some business for me. You must have some need for me, which I am not aware of now. So please make me dance, nachao seami. Make me dance like a puppet. And whatever is required to accomplish your mission, please utilize me, engage me in your service. This is how Srila Prabhupada offered his prayers to Lord Shri Krishna as soon as he landed in Boston, Markine Bhagavat. And what we see later is a great revolution which has unfolded. And by some good fortune, we also have got an opportunity to participate in this glorious movement and offer our minuscule services, by becoming a humble and favorable instrument in the hands of the Lord and His representatives. Hare Krishna. So we just quickly saw that about Srimad, about the glorious qualities of Prahlad Maharaj, the saintly son, how he is possessed by Krishna Griha, Grihitatma, is possessed by Krishna. His consciousness is drawn towards Krishna very helplessly, as if he has no independence. And we saw about how narration building by influencers can have a great impact, how we can be saved from that, and how parents respond to children's answers, actions, and their achievements has a deep impact on the children. And towards the end, we saw how we can become a humble, favorable instrument, and opposite consciousness is a doership mentality, how we can save ourselves from that, and how we can become a humble, favorable instrument in the hands of the Lord and His representatives. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. I can take questions.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for the class. I liked your analogies very much. The pedestrian and vehicle. One is thinking he's wrong, another one is thinking he's wrong. That is how conditioned thing. I could connect very much to that. In the same regard, I just wanted to put a doubt. Demons, the moment a devotee shows himself, demons are thinking like this, that he's a diseased hand or he's a thorn or a black spot, something like this. So I had a class in Utkarsha camp where we were discussed that if we are having a non-devotee family, we should just gel with them and not show too much, as it will create a lot of friction. But when we see pure devotees like Prahlad Maharaj or Ravana's brother, or Vidura, how they act very straightforward and very boldly. And they know that the response also is going to be not so good. So why did Prahlad Maharaj speak like this? Was the doubt that came to my mind when you told, okay, Prahlad spoke like this to Hiranyakashipu. He knew very well that Hiranyakashipu is the greatest of the demons. He has no faith in Vishnu. But still, why did Prahlad Maharaj say the direct thing so boldly to Hiranyakashipu? Why do they act like this? But we are advised, when we are not so stable in bhakti, so we are advised to gel.
Yeah, thank you. So we are advised to gel because we are sadhakas. Because if we act straightforwardly, we will not be able to handle the results which come. If the father throws you out from the terrace, what to speak of the mountain top, we will not be able to handle and survive. That's why sadhakas are advised to act in a way, a little bit maybe manipulation, maybe a little bit of diplomacy, but that is to protect our bhakti. Even if our family members may or may not take to devotional service, at least protect one's own devotional service. And why Prahlad Maharaj acted like that? Because there was no diplomacy in his heart. He was practically innocent, and more important, a pure devotee. A pure devotee never fears speaking the truth. Prabhupada could tell a London reporter in London, when he was inquired, what do you feel about London? And Prabhupada said, London is hell. Sitting in London with a reporter talking about London. And I mean, coming from a quote unquote Indian, that's too much for Britishers. So pure devotees speak the truth boldly. Vidura, we can see, he could stand out. He could stand out in that Asat Sabha when Draupadi was about to be disrobed and say, this is wrong, this cannot take place. While everybody else was silent, and for various reasons, sometimes we feel, if I speak, somebody may get hurt. If I don't speak, somebody may get hurt. And whether I speak or not, somebody is anyway going to get hurt. All that combinations are there. Vidura chose to speak out the truth when nobody else is speaking. Because if we don't speak out, we also become part of the problem. Where we are supposed to speak, we have to speak. And when sometimes we have to be silent at certain times based on the time, place, circumstances. So that is maturity. But Prahlad Maharaj, being a pure devotee, he just very boldly, naturally is able to speak. Even when Hiranyakashipu asked him, where is your Lord? He did not hesitate. He said, yes, my Lord is in this pillar as well. So that was Prahlad Maharaj.
Will this benefit the demons and the demonic family by any chance? Although it is disturbing for them, when pure devotees like this speak,
generally they get more agitated, just like when a snake is trampled, he gets more agitated. But nevertheless, a pure devotee acts in the nature of a pure devotee, and a demoniac person is going to exhibit his nature. That's why it is said we have to perform our duty as per our nature in terms of, just like the saintly person and that scorpion. The saintly person knows that scorpion is going to bite, but he says, my nature is to be saintly, so I have to give shelter. It's his nature to bite. That's his problem. He chose to bite. I chose to give shelter. So similarly, the pure devotee chooses to speak out the truth. It is the demoniac person who has an inability to take it or digest it. Take more? Take? Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. Prabhuji, in this verse, we read how the teachers of Prahlad Maharaj, they are chastising him so badly. So I was just self-reflecting. Sometimes we also commit mistakes, and our superiors, they give us chastisement. Although I am partially wrong, but at that time, to save the ego, I may backfire or push back or get upset with the superior or tell somebody else, that Prabhuji has spoken so and so to me. I am very hurt and I am upset. So Prabhuji, in that case, it is difficult to follow Prahlad Maharaja's example that he is tolerant and submissive and humble. At a practical level, how we should take such chastisements in our Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
If we get chastisements, we should feel we are fortunate because there is somebody who is concerned about us. Many times people get neglected. Sometimes the superiors may not chastise, thinking that if I correct, this person will simply go away. So if we are able to get that chastisement, generally it means we have some relationship with the superior. Just like we need to know how to give feedback, we need to know how to take feedback. So similarly, how to give chastisement as per time plus circumstance, as per requirement, and how to receive chastisement. So first and foremost, we can always introspect, and when we get chastisement from superiors, we should, although the conditioned mentality is like that Kaliya, which the fangs come out, but at least after a second processing, after some time, maybe after a day or so, at least we should be able to come to the same consciousness that ultimately he is my well-wisher. If he is chastising, just like the disciples when they would get chastisement from Srila Prabhupada, they would feel, if he won't correct me, who else will correct me? Right? That is the way. And other is that one has to have a deep respect for one's superior to not feel bad by the chastisement offered by them. Whether they are doing it for their own personal selfish agenda or they are doing it for correcting us. Are they going to benefit by the chastisement? Are they simply venting out their anger? Or are they correcting us to benefit us, to shape us, to groom us, to mold us? If we think like this, then our understandings will become much better, because when we are staying in association, our rough edges needs to be smoothened, which naturally is not pleasing. If the rough edges are going to be smoothened, it's going to be painful. So all these chastisements, all these things which comes is part of that. So how do we take, if the rough edges is getting smoothened, do we get angry about it or do we feel grateful for it? If we think in sane consciousness, we will be able to come to a proper conclusion. And of course, we can always discuss with your peers and superiors to benefit more. But the default consciousness should not be that, he has some selfish agenda, or maybe he has a fight in office, or he's just dumping it on me, things like that.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. And? Yes. And? Lent? Yeah. Thank you very much. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.